Hello, Internet. Hello, Facebook. Hello, Instagram.
Hi.
Anywhere else this video may appear. I'm here with Maye Sattler, and she's going to
Uh-huh.
tell us a bit about herself. Um,
I
Maye,
hope
why
I
don't
can do it.
you, all we ask is you try.
Yeah.
So tell the folks a bit about yourself.
I am a musician. I am a singer. I sang before I could talk, so that kind of tells you a little bit about myself developmentally. And it is one of the signs or traits of autism or Asperger's is that you talk or communicate before average. And I was basically singing Queen, the full lyrics of Queen before I could actually hold a conversation. So at least it's so I've been told.
Gotcha. How has your perspective on autism changed over the years, in particular, how it's affected you?
I first suspected I was autistic when I was around 20 years old. I love this story because it's literally the only reason why I even had myself assessed a few years ago back in 2018.
Hmm.
Um, I saw an episode of House, and it was about a nonverbal autistic boy, or a little boy who was nonverbal,
I remember
and
that episode.
he communicated with pictures and phrases. Like he could do that, and he liked to draw. And the point is, they finally figured out what was wrong with him. He ate sand that a cat had, urinated on.
Hmm.
But the reason is that Wilson House's like medical partner or whatever came to his defense and said House is autistic. He's got Asperger's. He doesn't want that something. He needs it because it's has something to do with his self-soothing or whatever.
Hmm.
And of course he gets a and then it turns out it pans over to the you're just you're or whatever reason the word Asperger's oh no, it says internet connection is unstable. Oh well. So back on track. Sorry, that'll happen a lot.
Okay.
um the oh shoot, I never mind, I did get lost. What were
You were saying about
I'm
how
trying so hard.
Wilson was explaining why House is the way he is.
Yeah, basically he was telling Cuddy that House is on the spectrum, and he needs to I don't remember the episode. I just remember the word Asperger syndrome. But that's the only reason why. And then I looked it up, and then it turned out that I had nearly every trait up to that point in my 20s. Is my favorite was the bulldog personality, where they just go
Mm.
and they just get tunnel vision. And that literally, all that those traits literally described me to a T. And so I brought it up to my doctors, anyone who would listen, and they all shot me down because I didn't know at the time autism was still thought of a male prevalent disorder
Mhm.
or male prevalent issue, whatever.
Right. So what are some of these bulldog traits? You went into that for a second there, but for those of us who don't know what that is.
A bulldogs are stubborn. They If they want something, that's all they can think about. Like if they want food or a toy that's on a shelf, they will stare at it until they will just sit and stare forever. And
Mhm.
for me, I get when for me it gets if I want something, I'll like obsess and obsess probably until the point where it gets to where people will literally have to practically take my head and just say, you cannot have this or you cannot do this right now. And even then, my brain will still be like, but what about, can we do this? Can we find a way around it? And
Mhm.
then, but it'll take at least once or at least twice of somebody just literally saying focus but without the snapping.
Hopefully.
Yeah, no one has ever snapped in my face, so that's good.
That's good, yes. So, how old are you now? You're
I'm 31 and it may and just a heads up, it will you may have to tell me to focus cuz I also have really bad ADHD. So it's like kind of like they're like trying to decide which is which. Like I have the signs of a racing mind. Like my mind is always on go and then
yeah, I
um
experience that myself a lot, as my
yeah.
wife will attest to. So, as you may or may not know, most services for autistic people end at 21. What are some of the tricks you've learned as an adult to help accommodate just daily living as an adult on the spectrum?
Let's see. Because I didn't realize any that I was different until I was 20, I've had to cope by just shutting down when people would shut me down about talking. So for a good, let's see, I was 20 when I figured things out. By 21, I just stopped asking for people to help me, and I didn't know that there was actual testing. And so I would retreat into myself. One of the tricks I learned was to hide in my room for long periods of time, like after a full day of work or a full
Mhm.
day of just existing, I would need to spend at least 3 or 4 hours by myself, curled up in my blankets like a tight cocoon.
Mhm.
So
And how do you bring
I
yourself out?
basically learned how to self soothe the hard way.
Mm. Yeah, a lot of autistic people use blankets to self-soothe.
Hmm.
But how do
Like
you
it's
bring?
deep pressure therapy.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that, and I didn't really connect it until literally this second that I now know what it's called. It's deep pressure therapy.
Yeah, and that's great that you're able to teach yourself that, and
Mm.
that's something that a lot of people on the spectrum struggle with is how to self-soothe, and that's great that you found a way to soothe yourself. But eventually, you have to interact with the world again. How do you bring yourself out of that state and like leave your room?
I typically get an urge to, okay, I can be social again, or I have to say, you need to get up. You need to people. You
Right.
need to adult.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What you mentioned, you have a job. What do you do for a living?
I worked in various daycares for a couple of years. I didn't really get a real job until around late 2016. But I tried having a job when I was in my early 20s, but that didn't work out.
Hmm.
Mostly because I didn't know I had been shot down, and so when things would get tough, I would just shut down and
Hmm.
uh, yeah, yeah, it was not a pretty situation.
Yeah, and that's
But
something that.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, that's another thing is my stories start off on tangents, but they always have an ending. So I started in daycares in late to in blah, blah, in October of 2016, and then I worked solidly through 2017 through 2018 when I finally decided to work. I went through a personal loss, and that somehow led me to working with special needs kids because my dad does that. And I fell in love with it, and now I can't see myself doing anything but working with special needs kids
Mhm.
because I see basically it's you hear the term living through vicariously. I guess that kind of applies to me because I can help these kids where I wasn't helped.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, and that's what I did for 8 years myself, was helping, particularly autistic children. But like, it really taught me how far I come, and gave them the help I never received. Because I got diagnosed at 14, and but I
Uh-huh.
mostly had to figure out. I didn't get any. I didn't have an IEP. I didn't have any like special services. I had to figure out a lot on my own. I mean, I
Mhm.
went to a school for people like me, but it was way more independent than what we see in classrooms
Yeah.
with special needs today. Um, but then let's flip this into another part of your life, which is music. I see a lot of pictures on Instagram of you with your violin. Um,
Yeah.
can you tell us like what got you into violin and like how that helps you? I assume it helps you soothe yourself while you play.
Yeah, I it's basically sometimes I'll sit and stim or play for like a couple hours straight. I think once I will never play more than like an hour and a half, 2 hours because the vibration I've learned within the last couple of months, the vibrations can overstimulate my senses. Like I can hear it and then I can also feel it. So it just is not the best feeling sometimes.
Mm,
So I basically just play until my video I get it in my head that if I can complete a video,
mm.
I'll be okay. And that's how I stim, that's how I relax myself.
That-
Um
That's great that you created that visual for
yeah.
yourself.
It's um if I get interrupted, uh it's not fun because I basically have a meltdown every time I get interrupted. But
Yeah, because
yeah.
you have to complete the pattern, or else
Mhm.
unless and then your brain just
That's
keeps
the
repeating.
routine. Once I start the routine, yeah.
Yeah, because for autistic people, for those in my audience who don't know, once we start a pattern, we have to finish, or else it's just on repeat in our heads, and it'll
Uh,
stay there even when we're like doing laundry. Oh, I should have been playing the violin. Oh, the next chord I should have hit. I need to finish the chord. I need to finish it. Um,
uh-huh.
it's for me, it's I play a bit of guitar myself, and I have to finish the progression, or else I'll be stuck all day. Uh,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we should do it. We should do how do you read music
I'm starting to
or
learn
do you
how
play
to.
by ear?
I'm still learning how to play. I'm too shy and early on
Oh, okay.
to
That's
perform,
okay.
but I actually do write a lot of like lyrics and compose a lot of music. So I write down like progressions of where I want the music to go, and
Oh, I love music theory, but I don't really understand it.
I do, but I like to just put in happy feeling sound here. I use my emotions to as a guide through the
Yeah.
music. So when I do get to that point where I'm comfortable playing in front of other people, I can go back and perform all this music that I've written.
If you want, I can help you with that. Like, we don't have to be recording or anything. We can just talk.
Definitely, I'll definitely reach out when I feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, it's like if there's one thing about me that sometimes does intimidate people is that I will step up where others have just been like, "Ooh, no." And
Mm,
then I'm not it's kind of like an it's something that's not exactly the wisest choice
mm,
because I sometimes even though I volunteer first, I sometimes end up getting hurt emotionally, and
Mhm.
it's not fun, but I wouldn't change myself for
Yeah, and that's amazing that you do step up
I
because
wouldn't change myself.
a lot of people on the spectrum don't know when or if they can step up, and it's how we learn, how anyone autistic or not learns. You step up and you learn from each experience.
Mhm.
Okay, I put myself into the situation. Did it go well? The fact you have that ability to self reflect is amazing. Um,
Yeah, I think that's why, like, you mentioned self-reflect.
mhm,
Um, it's like, this is how I explain it to people. Just because I have the ability to reflect, I can see something in retrospect or
mhm,
reflect, doesn't mean in the moment I have full control. Like, a lot of people say I'm a drama queen
mhm,
because, or they have in the past, because I'm able to verbalize after the fact.
mhm. Yeah, I mean hindsight's
Yeah,
2020, but
it's not fun.
and I think probably the big reason why you're not in full control is because autistic people don't have that social filter in their brain that allows them to
Mhm.
process.
That's how I yeah.
Because we're not able to. We don't only just process our thoughts. We're processing what our senses are picking up. Which for a
Mhm.
neurotypical person, that's sensory processing is subconscious, but for us, it's all conscious, all at once. So it takes us a long time, and that's why we don't feel in control until like it's like a computer file that's taking forever to download. Um,
Yeah.
that's like a good
Yeah,
visual.
it's a processing situation. Like,
Mhm.
it it's for me, trying to understand certain concepts is, my analogy is trying to fit a let's like trying to fit an asymmetrical object through a square or circle hole, like something that's shaped like woo, like that, and
Mhm.
then you have like this perfect idea of what you're supposed to have,
Right.
and then trying to get it through, it's
Mhm.
just not going to work. It's not the fault of either party. It's just not going to work.
Mhm. Gotcha. So how another huge thing that adults on the spectrum struggle with is forming deep, meaningful adult relationships,
Mm.
whether it be at work or romantic. How do you form bonds with people? Is it through your music, or how do you connect with other people as an adult?
Uh, let's see. As far as family goes, they're family, but ever since I've realized this about myself, sometimes it honestly feels like it's faltered on some level, but
Mhm,
all I need is a little reassurance and I'm back,
mhm,
being strong and independent. But there are times, more often than not,
mhm,
that I feel like I am just lost. I don't feelings are valid.
hold on, it's freezing for a sec. Let's wait for you to come back. And there you go. Okay, so you sometimes you feel lost.
It
The last.
says on internet unstable. But wait, I got you. Hold on. I can't see it. There you go. Sorry. You started it. I had to finish.
I
My
appreciate.
brain will do that.
And folks, that's an example of how our brains need to complete a pattern once we start hearing one, like a musical note. So sometimes you feel lost in forming relationships with people, but um, how do you form deeper attachments once you don't feel
Um,
lost?
It's sometimes a more often than not, it's very, very detrimental because I go in head first,
Mhm.
heart first, and 9 times out of 10, I will come out with a broken heart.
Mhm.
And that's mostly with romance and with friends because as soon as they realize I'm different, they're like, ooh, no, stay away.
Mhm.
Or they will use, but it's a situation I'd rather, as far as romance, I don't really discuss it too much because, like I said, personal loss, and I don't really want to talk about that just yet. So,
Okay, I appreciate your honesty, and I will definitely respect that. It just as I'm doing this show, I'm trying to figure out other adults besides myself that are
yeah, you're
thriving out
fine.
there. So this leads to my final question before we get a musical performance. If you could change one way the world sees autism, what would that be and why?
For me, uh seeing as I'm like, female and stuff, is that autism is hold on, let me think. Shoot. I'm thinking of the word, but it's not um the only word I can think of. Autism is universal. It doesn't choose one gender or one sex over the other. It'll occur regardless.
Mhm.
And what I want people to know is, one is girls have autism, two, girls are autism and are autistic, and they have ADHD too. It's not just a male only issue. And then that gets me into like feminism, sexism. So I'm just trying to reel myself in because I can feel myself wanting to go off on that
That's
tangent. But
that's a story for another time.
the main point is autism is what's that word where it's non-specific, like it.
I think universal is a excellent word for that. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't.
Thank you, that's it. That was that was the word I was trying to find.
Yes. Yeah, and it doesn't. It doesn't. Not for no matter what social class you're in, no matter what religion you are, no matter what skin color you are. It
Hmm.
is a universal phenomenon to all people and maybe animals. I don't know as many study on autistic animals, but as far as we know, all
Yeah.
people have it, and I think that's right. That like stop looking at it as and putting it in a box. It can happen to anyone for whatever reason until science tells us otherwise. Um, and I think that's a very good message for everyone out there because I'm learning more and more about what it means to be a woman on the spectrum. Because, like you said, it's not really talked about due to the fact that girls are better at masking their symptoms.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're basically a good name I kind of want to use, but it's really long, so I don't. Then again, thriving with Asperger's is just uh, basically what autistic. We're
can you repeat that?
moldable puzzle pieces. Like we're just like, oh,
Mm,
oh, wait till the thing. Okay, we're basically like we're we're like basically we're water. We can fit into any shape you want, but if the situation gets too extreme or hot, then we evaporate into nothingness, but we'll always come back.
Oh, that's beautiful. Like, someone should write a song about
That's
that.
something I just thought of right now, is the where that autistic girls are basically water chameleons because we can fit into any shape, but we'll evaporate if we get too stressed, but we'll always, it just takes forever for us to recollect, in condensation.
That's beautiful. All right, and now we're gonna head into the final segment of today's episode with a musical performance by Maye.
Yay. Okay, I'll play something like short. Hold on, let me tune first. Okay. All right, you ready? You ready?
Ready?
Okay. Do you is
Beautiful.
that good, or do you want me to play something else?
Do you want to play a full-on song? You can play like a 5-minute song, a 10-minute song,
Oh,
whatever you want
okay,
to
hold
play.
on. All right. The reason I asked you about guitar is because there's one piece I know that is originally made for it's for violin and guitar, and so I got it all excited. So I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable.
That's all right. We'll jam in
All
the
right,
future when I'm ready.
I'll try to play through it, but it's been 6 years, so
We'll play with
but
that
I've
whatever
been
song you
playing
want.
it, but it's just there's some parts I don't remember, so. Oh wait, there we go. Sorry.
No, that was great. And
Yeah, I haven't played that in a couple weeks. I don't know why,
you have
but
a
I did
Transylvania thing
swallow
going on
my
at the end.
spit,
That's
so my
cool.
throat gets dry.
All right, that was
What?
awesome. Is there anything you want to say to my audience before we let you go?
Just you never know. Just you never know who's on the spectrum and who's not. So don't judge someone just because they're a little bit different.
Mm.
Don't judge people at all. It's not cool.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Amen. Okay, folks, where can we find you if we want to learn more about your music and your mission to express thriving on the spectrum?
Um, Basically, my Instagram page is literally my Instagram is the only source right now because just because I don't want to jeopardize my dog. Wow. No, I don't want to jeopardize my job
Mm-hmm.
because I mean taking the first step was admitting I was autistic and then making an Instagram because I'm not much of a writer.
Mm-hmm.
So I just make posts about autism. I share memes, um, but mostly I just show myself stimming, which is playing violin.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much, folks. All right, folks, this has been another episode of Heroes of Autism. This is Sam Heber signing off.